Welcome back to Brick by Brick, the show where we're hanging out, drinking wine, and learning shit. Today, we're going to be talking about buying or renting. So the internet is this amazing, ethereal being that allows us to access so much information. However, have you heard of too much of a good thing? Well, if you've ever been scrolling Instagram and saw one post that told you to do something, and 3 posts later saw a person telling you not to do that same thing, you'll understand what I mean. I see tons of social media influencers talking about renting versus buying. I bought my first house when I was 25 because even then I truly believed that owning a home was important. I read some books about finances and wealth, and all of them said own assets. This amazing quote from Robert Kiyosaki from the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you've never read it, add it to your list, says assets put money in your pocket, whether you work or not, and liabilities take money from your pocket. So let's talk about renting. I'm sure you all know that renting has gotten wildly expensive as Canada suffers from a housing shortage. Well, that shortage is not going to get any better anytime soon, okay? The National Association of Realtors is saying Canada will be 500,000 houses short by the end of 2025. So, pros and cons. The pros of renting. Freedom. You could move, change houses, or leave the country a lot easier than if you owned. So if you're a little bit of a gypsy, this could be for you. Carefree. You don't have to worry about having enough money to fix a leaky roof or a furnace that breaks down when it's minus 40. But you better make sure you have a good landlord who does have the money. Cons. You could live in that house paying rent and utilities, and when you leave, all you had was a roof over your head, which is a great thing, don't get me wrong. Landlord, you are always under their thumb. Pets. Who doesn't want one? And who doesn't have one these days? It's a lot harder to find somewhere to rent with pets. Buying, my favorite. You have an appreciating asset. I'll tell you a story in a minute to demonstrate. A different kind of freedom. To decorate, paint, change things, build a garage, get a hot tub and sit in it naked. This home is an extension of your life, and now you get to make that happen. Cons. Saving a down payment can be tough if you're not focused. Responsibility, baby. Making sure you have insurance, money for when you have a breakdown, not mentally, but in your house. Story time. Some past clients of mine called me a few months ago, ready to sell the first home they bought, and were ready for something bigger and nicer. You know, moving into the next stage of their life. So exciting. They bought a great house, great location, great floor plan. They had a great realtor. It needed some love though. It was a little rough inside, but hey, you're not buying Park Place your first go around the board. Well, in 3 short years, they had put in the elbow grease and spent some money to upgrade a little. Turns out, between what they did and how much that house went up in value, it was a $90,000 difference. So you got your renter paying $1,800 a month plus utilities for a 4-bedroom home with no garage in a good neighborhood. After living in that rental for 3 years, never missing a rental payment, never being behind on utilities, okay, the model tenant, folks, that renter walks away with nothing to sell, no asset, zilch, zippo. Nothing to show except a roof over their head, which I am not trying to downplay, super important. Everyone deserves a safe space to call home, and it's worth every penny, but let's see what the homeowner has. That same time period, never misses a mortgage payment, pays all their own utilities, put a humble 5% down, now 3 years later, walks away with $90,000. I truly believe there's a situation for everyone, but I also believe everyone should own a home. I know it's gotten expensive. I know it's gotten tough out there to save your down payment. But again, you're not buying the Palace of Versailles. When I was saving money for my down payment, I lived in the scuzziest, scariest little apartment in downtown Red Deer. My license plate used to get stolen. People from the building used to slip creepy notes under my door at night, okay? That's PTSD, people. But it was a huge help because it was cheap. I lived there for 2 years and put up with all the bullshit. But I did it. I saved my down payment and I bought a house. If you didn't retain any of this podcast, just do me a favor and listen up for a couple minutes. Do whatever you can to save that down payment. Work extra shifts. Sell belongings you don't use anymore. Then buy whatever house you can afford and just get into the market. Don't wait for your dream home. I can tell you right now that even people buying their second home aren't buying their dream home. But pretend you're that buyer that I told you about. 3 years from now, your financial situation could be totally different. Who cares if your house is nicer than your friends when you have $90,000 worth of equity? That is a life-changing amount. I have a complete buyer's guide that I would be happy to send to you, and I'll put the link in notes where you can receive it. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope this information was valuable to you.